Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to Talk with Tubbs, a petrolhead's perspective. As always, I'm your host, Tapelo, aka Tubbs, and I'm going to talk you through this podcast that deals with everything motoring. We're going to talk what's new on the market, what's old on the market, what's good on the market, and also what's bad on the market. Then we're also going to delve into some motorsport, but more focused on my favorite form of motorsport, Formula One. We're going to talk driver lineups, what we feel, react, but most of all, I'm trying to give you a petrol head's perspective. Words that come from someone who's as passionate about the industry as anyone I know. So as ever, let me not waste your time. Here we go. Talk with Tubbs is a go. So, good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. I know I missed a podcast last week. I didn't properly react to the Dutch Grand Prix because I felt like there wasn't a lot to react to, but I was also busy, so I never got the time to record a podcast. Summary of that race is: look, I think the track is great. It's kind of like Monaco in the sense that it is great for qualifying and one lap pace shootout. It's fantastic for that. The banked corners, drivers were enjoying it. Turn three was amazing to witness. But in a race situation, I think it doesn't translate that well into a Formula One race, partly because of how big the cars are, but also just how narrow the track is. Yes, we saw a lot of overtakes from Sergio Perez, but yeah, I don't think that's enough to warrant an exceptional race, so to speak. But highlight: look, Max Verstappen was quick, held his own against two Mercedes cars on different strategies, just had enough pace to make sure that nothing that Mercedes did was enough to derail his win. So yeah, that's on that. I wanted to make this podcast because this is post another triple header. We had Belgium, put a podcast about that. Probably be somewhere on the page. So I've spoken about the Dutch Grand Prix, and now I need to speak about the Italian Grand Prix, Monza. And it's not an easy one to talk about. So I really don't want to keep you long. So I'm just going to touch on a few things, and then I'll be diving into the big one. So very happy for McLaren. I really love the team. I'm a big fan of the team. Even though I'm a Mercedes supporter, I think that's my second favorite team on the grid. I love their driver lineup, and I think they've got something good currently going on at that team. So happy for Daniel Ricciardo. He needed this win to invigorate his season, but also give him something to be happy about, but also represent to the fans that he is not past the Danny Rick we know. I know he's been struggling, and I did put it up on Twitter that seemingly the thing he struggles the most with in the McLaren car is the transition from the braking point, bleeding off the brakes, getting into the apex, getting off the brakes, and then getting on the power again. That's been his struggle. So I think in Monza that the layout of the track and just the nature of Monza diminishes those struggles, because there aren't a lot of corners where you want to be trail braking, where you want to be braking as you go past the apex. And, so that diminishes a lot of his problems. So it will be very interesting to see how he deals with that kind of situation in races to follow. But nevertheless, we're talking about him because he won the race, and that's a good result no matter the circumstance. So super proud of him. Lando Norris drove brilliantly again. It's been such a thing with him this season. Top two for them, brilliant. Driver of the day, I know the fans voted for Danny, but for me it had to be Valtteri Bottas. Honestly, almost impenetrable the whole weekend. He aced qualifying on Friday. In case you've forgotten, we had the sprint qualifying format this weekend. So one practice session on Friday, normal qualifying Friday evening, practice 2 Saturday morning, sprint quali Saturday afternoon, and then the race normal time on Sunday. So Bottas nailed quali, put it number one on Friday, Won sprint quali on Saturday. Unfortunately, had to take power unit penalty because he changed a lot of components on his car. Started at the back of the grid and drove up and eventually finished third on the podium. Any other driver, we'd be raving about them for driving from last to a podium place. And I think it kind of got overshadowed by Danny Rick kind of winning a race, but Valtteri Bottas deserves some praise for that performance. Leclerc fourth, Perez fifth, Sainz sixth. I think those are good finishing for those guys. Stroll seventh. That's all right. That's good. They need the points. They need to be there or thereabouts. So that's decent. Alonso eighth. It's so weird. You know how I feel about Alonso now. So that's a good result. Russell ninth. Think that's something big that went unnoticed this weekend because of other things. Russell in ninth, Ocon in 10th. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the points finishes there. That was a good performance from everyone in the points, particularly top three, and I would say George Russell as well. Finally getting that Mercedes contract seems to be doing wonders for the kid. Silly season, look, Valtteri Bottas is to leave Mercedes in 2022, head over to Alfa Romeo on a multi-year contract. George Russell is coming into Mercedes on a multi-year contract. Alex Albon returns to Formula One. He's going to be driving at Williams alongside Nicholas Latifi. Open seat at the moment seems to be the Alfa Romeo seat. That's not sorted. And I think the Haas seat as well. So silly season was very silly, but I really don't want to talk about that. I need to talk about the big elephant in the room. And that's kind of why I'm recording a podcast tonight. Because you might have heard in the top points finishers, Lewis Hamilton is not there and Max Verstappen isn't there. Now, these are particularly difficult topics to talk about. 1 second. Yeah, it's difficult to talk about because at the end of the day, to a degree, as much as I enjoy Formula One, I am biased. I've not made it a secret. I am a Mercedes fan and a Lewis Hamilton fan, but I'd like to put myself in a situation where I'm objective enough to look at a situation from both sides and come up with a conclusion. That's why these podcasts tend to be long, because I want to put substance in what I say. I want to make sense of everything, So, look, and I'm trying to be mellow as I speak today, because post Silverstone, I think I might have been a bit too heated. You'll find the podcast on the page. It's not going anywhere. But I was very passionate in what I was saying, and I was not happy at the way Red Bull handled the situation between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. And I was not happy about the things that Red Bull were insinuating towards Lewis Hamilton's actions. So fast forward to today, and we have an incident where Red Bull has a slow pit stop, 11.4 seconds. They do a lap. Lewis Hamilton goes into the pits, has a slow pit stop himself. However, as Lewis comes out, he is ahead of Max Verstappen. Heading into turn 1, Lewis Hamilton is leading. Max Verstappen tries to go on the outside into the entrance of turn 1, squeezes his car, space runs out. Max Verstappen's car ends up on top of Lewis Hamilton's car, and both drivers are out of the race. And look, just go on my Twitter. I have been tweeting up a storm today. I think that's the most tweets I've put up in a single day ever. But I was really irritated by a few things, and I'm really going to touch on them, and I'm going to try and be as clear as possible. I got irritated by Max Verstappen, not because of the crash per se. Crashes happen, but you need to know as a driver when to back out of issues or incidents. Lewis Hamilton has been backing out from contact with Max Verstappen all season. And the problem is him backing out, people are seeing it as fear, hesitation, and people are seeing that as him bending under pressure. He's choking, but he's not. And that's what a champion does. As a champion, you need to know when to push, when to relax, when to fight, and when to give up. That's what you do as a champion. That's how you maximize on track performance. That's how you maximize points. That's how you make sure that even in a weekend when you're not the fastest, you're still able to gather sufficient points to keep you competitive throughout the season. And we've seen Hamilton do this season. Imola, Spain, where Max Verstappen has been increasingly aggressive and Hamilton has given him way in order to avoid contact or a crash. That shows maturity and that's a sign of a champion. So, with Max Verstappen this is Monza, mate. It's Monza. You let someone pass on the corners and then you sit behind them for the long straights. The benefits of slipstream are crazy. You probably get DRS. Doesn't matter whether you think they're faster or not. That's how you pass. And we saw everyone do that today. People never risked going into the corners. They attacked on the exit of corners. People took the escape route. Max Verstappen didn't. I saw a lot of people defending him saying, well, that's the layout of the track. The curbs are why his car went high. The curbs are there for a reason. They're there because you go over that part of the circuit without those curbs and you gain an unfair advantage. That's why they're there. He needed to know when to back out. And I think that shows that Max Verstappen is not ready to be a Formula One world champion simply because his talent is there, no doubt about it. And I've never made it a secret. I do secretly admire the guy because I think he's massively talented. But it's his attitude and mannerisms that I struggle to gel with. And you saw that post Silverstone with the way he went about it. Oh, why is Lewis Hamilton celebrating when he sent me into the hospital? And as already established, Hamilton didn't know he was in hospital. He asked his team after the crash, is he okay? And the team said yes, because he walked out. So you bashed him for a whole week. And then you come to today. And after an incident where Max Verstappen's tire lands up on Lewis Hamilton's head, and I'm not saying Max is directly responsible for that. Yes, he is directly responsible for the crash, no doubt about that. I think that's not a racing incident, and the FIA still sees that, which is why they gave him a 3-place grid penalty for Russia. But he is responsible for the crash. The after effects of that, obviously out of his control, but he still has to take blame. And for him to get off track, and this is what he tweeted, today was very unfortunate. The incident could have been avoided if I had been left enough space to make the corner. You need 2 people to make that work, and I feel I was squeezed out of it. When racing each other, these things can happen, unfortunately. What are you saying? Why is it that this is the same guy who cried foul when he was on the bad end of a crash? But today he wants to pass the blame. He's taken no responsibility for the incident. I watched his mid-race interview, post-race interviews, and now his social media. He's taking no responsibility whatsoever. And that irritated me. That irritated me massively. Massively. Because you are the person that was crying for sportsmanship. You cried, and then you wanted to be petulant when questioned about your conduct, and you were throwing fits inside the paddock during interviews, and now this is what you want to say? Max Verstappen suffers from entitlement. Yes, he's the youngest driver to achieve X. He's the youngest driver to do Y. But that doesn't give him any special privileges over anyone on the grid. You need to obey the rules like everyone else. You need to be considerate of everyone else. You cannot put your car in a place where it shouldn't be and then expect everyone else to yield. For years, everyone has been praising this guy for his aggressive style, his no-give attitude, how he always puts himself there. But we need to have a conversation about how that also can be so dangerous. That is dangerous, no doubt about it. And because people have been giving him leeway, because his team supports this attitude, because people back down when they go into a corner with him, he feels it is okay. It is not. And in a weekend where everyone was so afraid to give a clear opinion. Where if, by the way, when I say everyone, I'm referring to the commentary team and some of the people that work in F1 media, where they're so afraid because of the enormous eruption of social media post Silverstone, where everyone is so afraid to just say Max Verstappen is wrong. It was so refreshing for Johnny Herbert and Damon Hill to come out and literally say he is wrong. He is wrong. There's no two ways about it. Look, you have your opinion and I have mine, and that's fine. But sometimes we have to be rational about situations. Like I said, I am a Lewis Hamilton fan, but when he makes a mistake, like he did at the start of the sprint qualifying, I need to say something. He has to own up to such mistakes. But this was nowhere his problem. Nowhere. Lewis Hamilton has been backing out of these challenges the whole season. The whole season. Why can't Max Verstappen do the same? He speaks about respect continuously. Oh, we respect each other. Oh, there's no malice between us. But then he pulls on-track stunts like this. And then he wants to come and cry foul on social media. Look, I know no one wants to be so pessimistic about things that happen. But this is a sport. We cry for sportsmanship. Max Verstappen isn't being sportsman. Isn't being a good sportsman. That's not good sportsmanship. That's just being, sorry to use bad name, but that's being a prick. Come on, man. What is this tweet? Look, Lewis Hamilton, if it wasn't for the halo, and again, vindication for the continuous improvements in Formula One and motorsport safety, the invention, crumple zones, halo devices, Hans devices, etc., etc. If it wasn't for that halo today, we would be talking something totally different. Totally different. It's not out of the realm of possibility. If it wasn't for the halo, we'd be tweeting rest in peace today. So yes, am I a bit freaked out? Am I a bit irritated? Am I a bit angry about how this is going? Yes. Are the racist incidents, the racist abuse, once again rearing their heads? Yes. Let's not forget that Red Bull Racing, Christian Horner, Max Verstappen insinuated that the Silverstone incident was intentional. That it was Hamilton's intention to swipe Max Verstappen out. That's a bold accusation. You put a person's character on trial. So why is it a problem when the same kind of treatment is afforded to him this week? And it's even less than that, man. It's even less than that. It hasn't reached that point yet. Look, I know this is a tad extreme. I know. But it was kind of said by both Johnny Herbert and Damon Hill and several people on social media, including me. To a degree, I feel that Max Verstappen had an intent to hit Lewis Hamilton. If the first words you utter after a crash are, "That's what you get if you don't leave room," that signals intent. Let's not forget, Max Verstappen already touched wheels with Hamilton in this race. He pushed him out at turn 4 earlier in the race. Lewis Hamilton avoids such incidents. But when Max Verstappen intentionally goes into someone and says words like that, intentional or not intentional, I don't know. But the way I see it is there is a certain level of intent. Why didn't you back out? Why didn't you take evasive action and go into the escape route that was literally on your left? Then you have the audacity to come and say words like that. Let's not forget, they're both out of the race, but Max Verstappen leaves Italy leading the Drivers' Championship. Yes, 5 points is not a big gap, but it's a gap nevertheless. So people saying, oh, they're both out of the race, there was no advantage. No, someone left leading the championship. That is an advantage. So yes, do I feel that it was slightly intentional? For sure. Do I feel that the 3-place grid penalty is warranted? For sure. Do I feel it's sufficient? Not really. I would have appreciated to be a tad better. But again, we need to go with the decisions that are made. And look, it's whatever at this point. It's whatever. But I do not appreciate the character assassination, the awful treatment that a single driver gets because one driver feels entitled to space in a race. One driver feels entitled to fear. One driver feels entitled to being given leeway to get away with incidents on track. Gone are the days where we can still praise this guy for his aggressive style, how he pushes people off the track, how he asserts his dominance when it's putting other people's lives at danger. I would still talk about this if it was another driver on the grid. It just so happened to be his main title rival, hint, hint, also my favorite driver. I didn't want to keep you long. I think that's all I needed to say. If you still don't get what I'm saying, go on my Twitter. Trust me, go on my Twitter. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to the season. The season has been great. The challenge is amazing. The championship is amazing, and drivers are pushing each other to the limits. But even then, we still need to keep it clean. We still need to make sure that we do not endanger each other's lives above the risk that everyone takes to be in Formula One. Max Verstappen needs to calm down, he needs to grow up, and he needs to start respecting people on the grid. As always, this has been Tapelo on Talk with Tups. Thank you so much for listening. I know this is a tad different, and yeah, I don't know when I'll be back. My life is a bit busy at the moment, but thank you so much for listening. I'll try and keep my Twitter active throughout the coming weeks. You know where to follow me, Twitter, THAPZ_MEREOHLE. Thanks again. I hope you guys stay safe. Have a good week. Cheers.